Ladies and gentlemen, it's a good evening, good afternoon that we are here just to talk very freely and openly on matters of active non-violence as a means of expressing our views in different issues, and also on how best we are able to contribute in the current happenings in our country, both at local and national levels. Majority of us here are our youth, and I was briefed that we really need to see on how we can bridge the gap between the seasoned activists like myself and Obure and the upcoming activists like the single ladies in the room and the young men around. We've come a long way, and we still have a long way to go. So even as we get into this very noble discussion, let us also remember that we must be very factual in whatever we intend to achieve with such kinds of discussions. And we must also take it in mind that as we sit here, 30 or less, we represent a big number of the youth and the old who are not amongst us today. And then how better are we able to take this discussion to another level? And with that opening remarks, I now wish to invite my fellow seasoned activist, a politician, and the only refined politician that will ever come across. And that is none other than Wood Tina. Karibu.
I want to marry the theme over there, claiming spaces for youth in political participation. What one? Each one teach one. And I also want to marry it with the theme of the conference, inspiring young leaders to transform communities. The first lot of the 844 system of education. And you know, because the old system was going, there was a lot of pressure from parents, teachers, and the students themselves that you don't wait for the coming system. You must struggle to go with the old system. So those of us who were weak, we were forced to repeat so that you be part of the new system, and that is the 8 minus 4 which equal to 0. That is the system that we underwent, and I don't know who else underwent that nil system. 8 minus 4 minus 4, and then you leave school without anything. You come back here and you are told there is unemployment, so you walk around looking for employment. Then looking for employment becomes employment in it itself, because the system was 8 minus 4 minus 4. Yes, who is a youth?
I think a youth, I believe a youth is somebody very energetic, very creative, very intelligent, and they believe in themselves.
A youth youth is somebody who is energetic, intelligent, creative, and believes in herself. That's one. I like that. Somebody else?
I'm going to define a youth in a simple term, according to the Kenyan Constitution. Then I'll define it in my own words. The Kenyan Constitution says a youth is somebody who is between the age of 18 to 34. But by my own standard, I'll slightly concur with my brother and say a youth is somebody who is that energetic, innovative, understand himself or herself, and is able to know that he or she is the leader of today, not of tomorrow.
He has added something. In fact, the component of leadership has come here. I had only energy. Yes, leadership. Yeah. Another person, I want to give two people. And in fact, now the last chance is very specific. So I'll not allow two young men to define a youth without giving a young lady an opportunity to define for me what a youth is. Youth enango.
Vile naelewa Kijaluo, rawera ma pod tin manyalo timo gimoro amora. That is a youth.
With what she says, captures almost everything that the two guys said. The only thing that she has added, which probably is not coming out clearly, is how. She's talking about energy, she's talking about leadership, she's talking about intelligence, she's talking about doing things, doing many things, and how is the problem that I have now. Mora, including the negatives. In fact, youths gin joma nyalo nyaka rape ji. Yes. I liked that negative component of the energy youths have. Given this definition, Jan, are you in concurrent with us? Okay, thank you. Given these definitions, according to us where we are seated, who defines a youth? One has been said by my colleague here, and he has said, as per the Kenyan Constitution. Other than the Constitution, who else or what else defines a youth? Our legislatures, your MPs and MCAs, yes? Family, yes? The smaller component of the society.
I think also the youth define themselves. The youth defines a youth.
A youth defines a youth. In fact, I wanted to listen to that. I wanted that because that is the core of claiming that space. So, these are the challenges that we have as youths, that even definition of a youth by itself is not done by you. So when a church has decided that youths are from this age to this age, they will know how to deal with you at that particular level. And bishops are going to be elected, and you are the majority. Anytime we give summons, we say youths are the majority, you are the future leaders of this church, you see, but the bishop is going to be elected. The constitution is very clear who is supposed to vote, but when we cannot vote, they come back to you people and arm you and disarm you logically. They don't fight themselves. You have not seen these people fighting, have they? Have you seen Raila and Uhuru fighting? Because you had been defined.
As much as we see that young people have not claimed their space, what is making these people not to claim their space? Can we go back to our history? Did the patriots of this country made it available so that young people could claim their space? And I'll say no, they didn't. Our patriots, of course, their names begins with Mzee. If you remember, Mzee Kenyatta, Mzee Moi, Mzee Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. These guys are not you. They are old men. And our young people who had the ability to find space for us, people like Tom Mboya, J.M. Kariuki, they were killed. And our old men continue in the system. So, my question is this, and I'll say young people have not found their space because the system that was there before was corrupt. Instead of having statesmen, we had politicians. And to my standard, I'll define a statesman as a dead politician. If we could have more dead politicians, then young people could have find their space.
We don't take time to learn our history. We don't take time to learn our rights. We don't take time to learn on how we can claim our spaces. We do not take time to identify what our spaces are and what this means to us. Because the moment you know the value of something is the moment you go for it. You cannot fight for a space that you don't know the importance of. You cannot fight for a space that every time it's election time, you wear who gives you better cash. And you cannot also fight for a space that you don't understand how it runs. So it boils back to us. And we need to ask ourselves these questions. When we say we are coming for those spaces, which spaces are they? The political space is quite a huge space. And unless we sit down and ask ourselves these questions, come up with a strategy on how we are going to go about it, what is our sustainability plan? Because if it's not sustainable, it's not valid.
For the better part of October, September, not October, August, September, October, and November, we were literally on the streets. What were we fighting for?
Yes.
Water. We were on the streets. Huh? Kura imeibiwa. Nani kura yake iliibiwa?
Raila.
Huh? Yes. Could you please tell me more about hii wizi ya kura yako?
Hakukuwa na justice kwa matokeo
Ya nani?
ya election
Ya nani?
presidential.
Presidential. Na hizi zingine?
Hizo zingine I don't know, but I know about presidential.
Waliba kura. Waliba kura.
Ya nani?
Hawakuhesabu.
Ulijuaje?
Kama either hawakuhesabu ama either walihesabu na walihesabu vibaya ama hawakuhesabu.
Every year we go for exams. Our students sit for exams. How many times do we take to streets when our kids fail? How many times do we go to streets when one of our own fails? Because those are youths. When do we go to streets? Ellen, have we gone to street because our students have failed?
No, we don't, but we go to school.
We go to school. But schools are the polling centers. When we are rioting because elections are stolen, why don't you go to those polling centers? Why do you go to streets?
We have one polling, the national polling center,
Where?
where the results are streaming
Yeah. Where is that center, young man?
in Nairobi.
In Nairobi. Why don't we go to Nairobi when we are rioting? In Kisumu, the IEBC offices are right opposite State House. We've never gone there. For that period I've counted, we only went there once when Nyong'o led us to the IEBC offices. We were just rioting in Kondele, Nyalenda, Migosi. We never went to any IEBC office. Why? Whatever I'm trying to bring out is that many times as youth or as people, while claiming the spaces for our political participation, we think that we are participating, claiming that space for us, yet we are doing it for somebody else. And we are very happy doing it at that time.
The 207, 208, we didn't emerge to the top where we had desired to be. But the reforms, the little things that we are able to see as key documents to work with are there. We have the guts to knock any office, and all of us have been talking about constitution. Where did it come from? The gaps that were realized in 207, 208. I'll tell you, 207, 208, I was distributing drugs for USAID across Nyanza, western and part of Rift Valley, moving in hospitals, and all that situation. A lot of things happened, and there are several policies that came in force. So that's part of the things, the gains that I'm talking about. We have a benchmark, a stepping stone to begin moving. So moving is how do we move on the stepping stone to realize that desire.
I'd want to get more from you, that there's reduced levels and rates of hate individually at our own individual level. You are saying this is as a result of the handshake, because some two people somewhere met, shook hands. Now you feel that you don't hate the people that you used to hate before. What is it that is so direct that brought this within you?
Whether we were acting on the streets that we hate people from other tribes, I do not know. But I am sure that in 2017, there were a lot of young people who were calling out other tribes in the name of politics. But currently, whether we were acting or being true to ourselves, I do not know. But I know young Kenyans, both old and young, some are even saying, I remember there was talk of Utamaki. There was a lot of talk of Utamaki. There was a lot of talk also in our own selves. These things were there. These things were said by both the old and the young.
We had a false start, political false start in this country, started by Jomo Kenyatta. Jomo Kenyatta failed to do one thing. When you want a nation, you must create the sense of being and belonging. You include, he separated. And that's the way we have gone. Something which is very important, and the youth will have the opportunity to do that. Number one, national unity. Detribalize yourself from tribal thinking. We are Kenyans, one Kenya, one country, one God, one history.
How many of us, for example, are just discriminated upon simply because they are of female gender. So when I was talking about those who defines us, I wanted us to understand who defines us, and we also get to know for what purpose are we defined the way we are being defined. For example, when Constitution, which is lauded by some of us as the best document we got from the 2007-2008 reforms that we sought for. When Constitution decides to define what a youth is, and the Constitution is negotiated in Naivasha without youth being represented, what do those people want to achieve by defining the youth the way they did?
Circumstances define a youth. Where do I need some people called youth? When there is something, then you definitely become a youth, which in most occasions should not be. When a politician moves, he wants to set foot, definitely atakusanya vijana and aseme, I have these people. Hawa ni vijana viongozi wa kesho. When we elevate one of our own, then we say this one is going to represent us. There's something youth, and you'll correct me here. We become youths, but until when we get married, then we are no longer youths. I don't know whether maybe the youths that I've dealt with, you want to see hivyo. Immediately somebody marries, hata kama bado ako in that bracket of 35 and below, mimi si kijana, I'm married, mimi ni mzee. So in most occasions, yeah, you will confirm that. In most occasions, somebody marries a youth, unaona bado ni kijana, msichana yake ama bibi yake pia ni vijana wote, but they've graduated, leaving that gap. So when they are here, sio wazee, sio youth, then who are they here? That is what Obure has been struggling with. Now those that are supposed to claim our position, remember that one, I've been looking at it keenly. And each one, it is until we conceptualize, then we will claim our rightful position.
Can we as youths try to define ourselves? And when we define ourselves, can we get to know what we want at that particular position, at that particular time of our growth? What do we want politically? What do we want socially? What do we want economically? So that when we are out of this space, out of this discussion, and we want to claim our youthful spaces, economically, politically, and socially, you can now determine where you want to advocate. So how, as youths, can we define ourselves?
In order for someone to define you, the person should be aware of your characters, the struggles that you're going through as a youth, and the problems that you may be facing in your everyday life. So, the issue that you are saying that the youth that have been defined and they have not yet defined themselves, I totally support there. Because first of all, a youth, if we were to be defined, a representation, someone representing the youth, on a gobed kani. Mokongo, ongi kaka, ngatumoruma, I'm just using this as an example. Ngatumoruma ja lawyer, yalo de parliament, towacho, yani otemo kagima define jaluo. Okonya ngeo gima jaluo kade. I just there jaluo na. That one is just an example. So according to me, there should be just even a representative within the youth that should be able to define the youth.
We are supposed to define ourselves as youth. And there's somebody who talked about youth defining youth, that is Kimani. So it means young people should define themselves by their own standard. And with that, they can claim their space.
There are systems that have been set in place for the past 50 years that this country has been in existence. How then are we as a generation who are coming in fighting systems that we do not even understand? Because we won't even pretend here that we know everything that entails to the political system of this country. So how are we supposed to fight blind? It's like to go an episode of Bad Box in a boat, trying as the best we can to do as much with the little that we can. And the little is, we have next to nothing. So how are we supposed to even consolidate if we are struggling to stand ourselves?
As youths, what do we aspire to be? That is the question I want to ask now, so that I can know the leaders of today and not leaders of tomorrow.
If we want to challenge any system and create meaningful change, my fellow young people, let us embrace active non-violence. We lead from the front, and then we'll invite Akina Obore now to follow us from the back.
Yes.
Active non-violence gives an opportunity for everybody to participate. Everybody. Yeah? The women, the old, the earlier generation, the children, the people with disabilities, everybody can participate in any active non-violent action. We just need to create it, to make it accommodative.
When young people are reclaiming or claiming their spaces, be well assured that old people are protecting their spaces. So the question of they live for us, they retire for us, get it out of your minds if you want to claim your spaces. If you want to reclaim your spaces, get that out of your mind for totality. Those people are protecting their spaces, and nobody will stop protecting his or her space. So all the people will keep on protecting those spaces. Who will give you something for free, young people? Huh? Odinga never wanted Raila to be a leader, let me tell you. And he never wanted Raila to be a leader. Raila claimed that space. He went to jail for that space. So you expect Raila today to retire and tell you that please take this space that I fought for. They will not do that.
You have told us that this country started on a false start. Meaning, we all know we are heading towards the wrong direction. We keep on telling young people, get up and claim your space. You tell us, you have the numbers, so why can't you get up and do something? I remember at one point we were even told, you guys stand in front of guns. You guys are so courageous to even pick tear gas and throw it back at police. Why isn't it that you cannot organize and pick the right people when it comes to political situation?
Politics is not a profession, let me tell you today. A profession is that which you learn, and then you do it, you reach a retirement age. Politics is like religion. Who retires from religion? You die. You die and you hope you go to heaven, if there is heaven. So, what is happening? Youth, get your right knowledge, get your right skill, get your right attitude, get your right career. What we should fight for is opportunity for work.
Before we start talking about how young people should pick up and do the right things, let us also consider the fact that we have consistently and continuously broken these young people. Where do they even get the will to even stand up and speak for themselves? Where do we even start from?
I told you, the old people, whether it is a wrong start, a false start, or a right start, if that benefits the old people, they will protect it.
We were saying that we all began in a false system. So, what way am I going to use so that I make sure that the system is clean?
We might understand how the system will work. We know there is hope. We know how everything right can be done right. But then the question is, that person who's out there, who's at the bottom, who's only seeing darkness, how do we get them to see whatever it is that we're seeing? And when we're coming up with solutions, how do we make sure that the solutions we are coming up with serve that person at the bottom?
By taking it upon ourselves to take that extra step to make sure we teach a person a day, every day, and make sure everyone understands what our goal is. Because if you want to reach the stars, you need to find the path that will work for you. It's not going to be easy, and it's not a smooth ride anywhere. But are we ready to do this?
Youth, let us define and redefine ourselves in terms of objective and vision and mission. Then we'll get somewhere. And let us think about, first of all, let us think so much about how we are thinking, so that we come with new ideas. People like Martin Luther King, when they started struggling and he died, passive resistance. All these things you must study them and know their limitations and whatever. This country belongs to you.
Young people need to find their voice. I think that we've been so battered to the point that we've forgotten if even talking makes a difference. And that's a scary place to be, where we do not feel that we have dignity, where we do not feel that my voice is worthy enough, and we always live in fear.
Let it not be Bonnie's cause. Let it not be Ongwen's cause. Let it not be Siko's cause. Let it not be Ian's cause. Let it be a personal cause that makes you look for Siko, that because I cannot fight it by myself. Let us join hands together to fight for the right, for a dignified life that we want. If we are angry enough with those, we'll be able to make a very strong and sustainable movement that will take us forward to ensure that even if we don't change the leadership, we shall have changed the policies that are an impediment to our growth.